Here is a lovely picture that I drew, penciled, and inked, and was colored by the lovely Vanessa Matte of Nico Robin. If you like this and more, remember to follow me on Google+, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. One Piece, Chapter 217, Stowaway.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here today with a frog in my throat, and also to bring you a review on the awesomely mind-bending tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us closing out the last volume, so here we are, and I will put it front and center, working our way through them, and are on volume 24. The last chapter, of course, saw really things kind of coming to a close in Alabasta. It really showed us a background of Vivi and kind of just the path that she had been on, and really in the end, it wound up being her saying goodbye to the Straw Hats and saying, you know what, I love you guys, but I also love my kingdom, and hopefully we'll meet again, and we can still, you know, call each other crewmates. You know, so it was a very nice chapter, very touching, and a great fitting way, I think, to end and kind of really wind up, for the most part, this arc, this saga. So this chapter, though, it picks up kind of at a point where we left off before, and I can only presume that Black Cage Hina was in her squadron, her elite squadron, were trying to, of course, capture, you know, Mr. Two Bon Clay's ship, as well as the Going Merry. The Going Merry was able to make it away, and get away at the sacrifice, or what it looked like the sacrifice of Mr. Two Bon Clay's ship. It looked like his ship just kind of went down in flames and was sunk. The beginning of this, you know, it says, oh, there's still a few left. Watch out, Captain, you know, and you see some, you know, punk-looking, spiky-haired, mohawk-wielding guy. So I'm assuming that maybe that either they're on a different mission that I didn't know about and they don't really tell you about, or this is actually just kind of the aftermath of remnants of whatever was left over that was on Mr. Two Bon Clay's ship. So at any rate, the whole point of it, though, is to serve the purpose of this whole few pages that they show is to show that Black Cage Hina is that she has a devil fruit power, and as this guy goes to lunge at her and says, oh, you won't take me without a fight, and she goes, wrong. Anything that passes through her or touches her becomes bound, and she has the power of the bind fruit, which is actually kind of a neat power when you think about it, because then you go and you see this guy after he went and he attacked her, and he's got like an iron manacle all around him or whatever, you know, and is all bound up. So it's definitely kind of cool. And then you see you know, Django and Iron Fist Full Body just fawning over her, you know, and oh, say your line, it's the fruit, you can't touch me with the, you know, whatever her line is about how you can't touch me, you know, because of the power of the bind fruit. There's a little tagline that goes along with it. The next several pages, though, and then we just, you know, just kind of abruptly leave there, and we are shown just really all of the different areas of Alabasta. And, you know, from the palace at Alubarna to Rain Base, you know, really everything. We even see the Kung Fu Jugon guys or whatever, and the huge sand crab that wound up carrying Luffy and company around. We see a number of different things. Eyelashes, the camel, I guess apparently was very highly recommended to try out for the Supersonic Duck Squadron by Vivi, because he's certainly very special and played an important part, especially in that decoy plan that they had when they were, you know, coming at Alubarna and trying to split up and you know, so anyway, so that was kind of a funny little thing, a little tidbit. You know, there was some different stuff with King Cobra. You know, Toto back in Yuba, and him kind of going, and after he heard everything on the loudspeaker, he knew who Princess Vivi was talking to, because they showed that too. And if you're, who was Vivi talking to? And then there were some people that are like, oh, it doesn't matter. It was such a nice speech, wasn't it? And it's like, we can rebuild this country. And they're like, even little people like us, you know. And then they're like, why would you say that? And it's just one of those things, trying to show that all the citizens are united again, and trying to rebuild a bigger and better country, so to speak, you know. So I guess a better Alabasta, you know, and certainly try to repair some of the damage that has taken place over the last few years between the droughts and, of course, the you know, just the general nonsense that had been going on with, you know, the rebellion and that sort of thing. So, and then we go and we see, like I said, we see King Cobra, we see Toto, and he's just like, haha, and he knows what's going on. He knows that the speech that she was giving at the end there, that she was actually talking to Luffy and the Straw Hats, because he met them. So everybody's kind of like, Toto, what's your problem? You know, what are you, just a crazy addled old man? And he's just like, oh, I can't say. And he's just like, good luck to you, Luffy. If I ever see, you know, if you ever come by again, have some Yuba water. Stop by for some Yuba water. And then, I tell you, it's unfortunate because I understand what people were talking about in the comments now, and I had been a little bit ahead, but not to this point until now. You know, the whole sacrifice of Pell I thought was very well done, and I thought it was very fitting. And honestly, he was never really that big of a character to begin with, but it was fitting enough that he did what he did and that he sacrificed himself that it made sense to me. I liked it. And but I kept keeping in the back of my mind that everybody tells me that Oda doesn't like to kill characters, may use them later, blah, 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 this and that. And then they go and they show out in the middle of the desert. It shows somewhere in Alabasta, you know, they show like a little building that has like a medical cross on it, you know. And we hear somebody going, okay, you know, and blah, 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 you could be on your way with your wound. You know, be careful with your wounds to heal up. You know, we presume it's some kind of doctor talking to this unknown figure. And then he goes and he's like, wait, hold on a second. You left without your, you know, cloak, scarf, headscarf thingy. And it's Pell's thing. So we can assume that Pell somehow made it out of the giant fucking explosion that, you know, it happened right in his lap as he was, you know, pulling this bomb out of there. And listen, whether you agree with it or not, I'm not going to go and harp on it for too long. I personally think that it diminishes the sacrifice that Pell gave and the touching moment that that everybody had. The tears that, you know, that Oda jerked out of you 10 chapters ago, 6 chapters, whatever it was, you know, they go right back up, and for me, they're kind of replaced with a, well, really, you know, can't you ever let anybody just kind of be the martyr, you know, in this sense? And he really was. He was the symbol of the kingdom, and so you know, I kind of have some issues with it, but I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. That's certainly what Oda decided to do with that, and I respect his decision, even if I don't agree with it 100%. So we'll leave it at that. And then we go and we have, because there's a number of different things that happen in these in between chapters, and I like these. I really do. I enjoy these almost more than I do when we're just like balls deep in the middle of a story arc or a fighting thing, because those are cool. But this is what tells you all about the world around you. So then we go and we're taken to the ship that Tashigi and Smoker are on. And Tashigi comes out and, you know, he's talking to her about if her leg's okay and everything else, and about how the Straw Hats got away, which he found out from Hina, because Hina had told him that actually back at the beginning of the chapter as well. And they're talking amongst themselves a bit, and it pulls out the bounty posters, you know, and it's kind of cool because he's like, yeah, they got these bounties on their head, blah, 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 and they're talking about they're justifiable and deserved. And Zoro, they're like, yeah, he goes and he says, you know, he took down 100 Baroque Works agents, assassins or whatever at Whiskey Peak, and he took out Daz Bones. And she's like, Daz Bones, what? And he goes, yeah, he was that famous bounty hunter from the West Blue, and this is the first time we've heard of another Blue, the famous bounty hunter from the West Blue that was posing as Mr. One or disguised as Mr. One. So they talk about, you know, how this huge organization of these mastermind criminals was all put together, you know, this Baroque Works, and how it was still defeated and still taken down, you know. And then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, well, we'll get them someday, you know, like Luffy and the gang. So, but you can tell that it's one of those things where, you know, even though Smoker and Tashigi believe in justice and doing the right thing, in their mind, I think that at least in Smoker's mind, for right now, the right thing is to let the Straw Hats be on their way because of what they did, because of their individual and team, you know, accomplishments for really helping to save the country, and ultimately to change, you know, the future, the path of the entire world. Because if Crocodile had succeeded and gotten his hands on this Pluton that I still don't know a lot about yet, but this ultimate weapon, this nuke, whatever it may be, the world would be a whole different place right now. So in essence, you know, Luffy and company saved the world, at least for right now, you know, at least for another day. So then it's really kind of cool because it goes to the boat, it goes to the Going Merry. We see the Straw Hats, and everybody but Zoro's kind of sitting there with these little goofy crying faces on. They're all upset, and he's like, "Will you guys just stop crying about Vivi already?" You know. And then they're like, "Oh, you know, if you wanted her so bad, you should have just captured her." And they go down the line, and they're like, "Stupid," and then you know, "Dummy," and then Sanji says, "Moss head," you know, which he likes to call him, and then Luffy goes, "Three sword style," and they're like, and Usopp's like, Luffy, that's not an insult. And he's like, four sword style. He's like, that's not either, Luffy. You know, call him so-and-so head. And I guess it means, like, I don't know, fermented beans or something like that. So it's funny, we see this whole exchange between them. They're obviously all upset. Zoro's just kind of like, move on, guys, you know. Then all of a sudden we go and we see from like the inside of the hold of the ship, not the hold, but like the cabin of the ship, we see a figure standing in the doorway, and this figure goes and is like, oh yeah, you know, I'm glad we finally left that place, or I was wondering when we were ever going to leave that place or something like that. And Zoro's like, yeah, I know what you're talking, and then he turns and all of a sudden he's like, and everybody's like, we wind up seeing, you know, that it's Nico Robin. Nico Robin has stowed away on their ship. She took to help herself to, she read some books. She helped herself to some of Nami's clothes, took a shower, and everybody goes and surrounds her right away. Oh, you're back to finish the job, Baroque Works witch, you know. And it's funny. She's like, I told you can't touch me. And a hand comes out, and her arm comes out of Zoro's arm and pulls his sword away, and then knocks Nami's staff out of her hand because they were both on either side of her. Usopp falls to the ground cowering. He's like, please leave or we're going to call the Marines, you know. So anyway, she makes it clear right away. She's like, first of all, she goes and says, she's like, Luffy, you know, you owe me. I sacrificed a bunch of stuff for you and everything else. And really the bottom line is the kind of big, you know, the big revelation at the end of the chapter is she's like, I want to join you, you know. There's a little period that goes on with a little bit of talking, you know, back and forth. And they're like, why are you here? And why are you this? But that's the bottom line, you know. I mean, she wants to join them. And we don't know why, for what purpose. Obviously, she had... You know, she didn't have a real allegiance to Crocodile. They just kind of, their paths went the same way because of something that she needed. And you could tell, I mean, with her obviously saving Luffy, with her meeting up with them, you know, 100 chapters ago or whatever it was after Whiskey Peak, and trying to give them the eternal log pose. You know, there was a number of different things, you know, not killing Igaram. You know, there were certainly several different instances where you could tell that her allegiance was only temporarily to Crocodile and only while their paths still went the same way, but she had an ulterior motive, which we still really don't kind of know exactly what it was, but it was obviously something that had to do with, you know, the history and the mausoleum, the history of Alabasta. So definitely kind of a shocker, I guess you would say, at the end there. I kind of had a feeling that Nico Robin was going to join the crew once I found out it was Nico Robin, only because that's one of the names that I've heard thrown around a lot. So I assume that characters like that I hear a name of quite frequently, and that I did starting this journey, that those would eventually either be protagonists or antagonists. They'd either join the crew or they'd be big enemies. And I kind of assumed when I started seeing what was going on, and then eventually, and then heard Crocodile out in the desert outside a rain base, you know, refer to her as Nico Robin. That's when I kind of was like, okay, I think she is going to join the crew. Maybe now, maybe later, I don't know. So, but definitely, my chapter question is what do you think of Oda's, you know, of Oda's choice to have Pell not actually be the sacrificial lamb and to at least appear like he's still alive? You know, weigh in the comment section down below, brothers and sisters. Feel free to hit them thumbs up, the like button. I know there's only one and I do too, but you know, that's just because I feel like it. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. Certainly we're looking forward to diving deeper into this one. He said deeper. And of course, you know, everyone that follows after that on this magical, wonderful journey that you've all decided to embark on with me. So I thank you for that, and we'll catch you in the next one, nation.
Here is the on-color version of Nico Robin. Subscribe.
What?